We go. So we're launching here, and as we're getting going, we're going to be talking about transitions in our career. Thank you, Jane. We got the thumbs up. We are live. Welcome to Career Lab Wednesday. I'm George Miller. I am your host every Wednesday, noon to 1 p.m. Central. Our job here is to help you in your career. Any questions that you have, whether you're starting off in your career, whether you are at a company and you're wanting to move up in management or wanting to lead a team better, whatever's on your heart, our job is to serve you. We see the career as a as a pathway for you to reach your potential. So any questions are welcome. Our topic this week, though, is on transitions in the career. As we started launching this career lab in this live format during the pandemic, when industries changed a great deal. A lot of people in hospitality or entertainment found themselves without employment. People who had been working at the same company for many years found themselves in a position where they now had to go look for something else. And so that transition period, there's a whole lot to navigate that. Internally, all the emotional pieces of that, that's an important part of that, as well as learning how to talk about your skills. What are transferable skills? What are people really looking for? So all of this is welcome, and how we got started here. Welcome, Ingolf. Happy birthday.
Hello. No, I need to change it from yesterday.
I'll take it as a birthday celebration. To me, it was my birthday last week, so thank you.
Oh yes, happy birthday, George.
Thank you. Great to have you on, Ingolf. So I'm just setting the room here. So what we do in Career Lab is support you in your career from wherever you're at, whether you're starting off, whether you've been somewhere for many years. We started this going live this way back at the beginning of the pandemic. And it's kind of amazing. It's been 3 years of running, and we've watched a lot of people not only get the job that they wanted or the position that they wanted, but to go into the new job or the new position with an excitement about it, and seeing how that transition can serve them, and how that career path is going to help them reach their potential, which is really at the heart of why we're doing what we're doing, is to live magnificent lives. So that's the greater context of this. But again, all questions are welcome here. There's a few ways that you can do that. I love it when you jump in directly and I can talk to you here one-to-one. If you can't do that and you're only able to view in through YouTube or LinkedIn Live, that's fine. You can type your questions into the comment section there, and Jane will get those over to me. I can usually get to those all those questions during this time. If not, we can certainly follow up with you. Another thing you can do is set up 15 minutes on my calendar. I will serve you as much as I can in that time. And if we need to set up more time after that, we can talk about that. So again, welcome everybody. I would love to, I was chatting with Eric before we got started here. And Eric, I'm definitely going to want to hear your updates. And Ingolf, I welcome. I've known you for a few years, and it's great to see your face. And I would love to get an update of how you're doing and what you're here and how we can serve you.
Yeah. So are you saying Eric starts or
whoever? Oh, great question. By the way, this is a very open format lab. So jump in when you want, when you have a question. Get started. You can come off mute and ask your questions or type them into the chat.
Right. So one question I have is, I'm in a transition, from what I'm doing, and I mean, and a lot of is related to the world. The world is also in a huge transition, so I'm in a transition, and I have some sensitive things, in terms of past employers and future employers. And so my question is that recorded and published on link, or where is that recording published?
Great question. So yes, so this is streaming live right now on LinkedIn and on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so if there's anything that you're uncomfortable sharing, absolutely don't share that here.
Right.
We can set up a time outside of here to talk further.
Yeah, great. Yeah, maybe find a mix, so with the 50 minutes, what you said, that sounds really great. And
absolutely,
then,
absolutely.
And I appreciate that I heard, so, how did I get here? I really appreciate, that you do that career lab. I heard about it for a long time, and I'm happy that I'm finally arrived. So I wanted to do that. I want to be part of that for a long time. So, so thank you that you do all that work. So that's really great.
You're welcome, Ingolf. It's been a real blessing and learning experience.
Yeah. And I'd write for 5 years or something, so, and doing coursework, and so maybe to give a little context, when I came to write 5 years ago, I was also in a transition or a crisis. I thought I would need to leave the country and would need to leave what I do, and but I did it another 5 years, and I think developing in the position that I had at that time, also going into how can I use my skills and how can I, so like Dr. Bob, right? So one thing really changed it for me when he said, he pisses him off when people think they need to leave a place instead of changing at the place that they are. So that I have done for the last 5 years. And I think and the resources were really a key of that. So,
okay, so I want to relay a little bit of what Ingolf is saying. So a foundational thing, and this fits right in with career transitions of what we're talking about, is that what we recommend for people is that instead of jumping ship quickly, is to really look at what the changes are that you want in that organization. And to bring that to the forefront and see what kind of a difference you can make in the organization. Because if you can't, then it will become increasingly clear that moving to something else is what you want to do. Now, the other side of this is to maintain the relationships and to build the relationships and to use any of the challenges in that company as a way to deepen relationships with people, to tell more truths, but in rapport. And so this is a skill set that, we can all be developing all the time. So instead of just leaving somewhere, it's often helpful to really look at what are the changes that you want there. I've had a lot of people connect with me and say, look, I've moved around company to company. I always thought the grass is going to be greener on the other side. And I'm still not, honestly, I'm not getting any more satisfied. And I'm afraid to make another transition only to find out kind of the same thing. So Ingolf, I think that was a little bit of what you were talking about, right?
Yes, right, exactly. And I think it helped me tremendously to transform in where I am or where I was. And then the other concept that really helps me, and I'm in now, so to get to the current time, is the loss aversion. So I was very attracted by that, and when Dr. Bob used that, in the sense, there is, for me, there is historically, staying too long in a relationship and staying not along, right? So leaving too soon or staying too long. So, and I think I'm at that point now where I used, where I stayed longer to get closer to what I wanted to do. but now I'm in the phase where I orient myself towards a new phase. So that's where I'm in. And I think, yes, so there was a point where I was changing towards taking what I developed and getting that to a new level, something like that.
Okay. So Ingolf, I hear that you are now in are you looking for other opportunities?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to address something that you brought up earlier. If there's anything that any questions you have, and you don't want to be on video, or you can always type the question into the chat. And that's a great way for people to get your questions in here if you can't join in directly. So Ingolf, where are you at in your job search?
Right. So I worked for my former place for a very long time, 12 years. And
Mm-hmm.
then I found my own company, and I'm proud that I did that. So, and
Congrats.
had, thank you, and had a couple of clients, but so some of the main clients, so that is ending now. And then, so now I'm looking, one, how I develop further my own company and the vision, making it or being on the mission of that. And for me, it's healthcare and increased quality. And the other is looking also for being employed again, and doing both at the same time. So that's
Okay,
what I
so
look at.
you've got your business that you are committed to running, and you're also looking for a salary job.
Yes.
Okay. Now, where's your resume at? Do you have that up to date?
Yes, I have an up-to-date resume, yes.
Okay. And how's it going shopping that around?
Yes, so that's interesting. So I found, what I originally thought is continuing what I was doing for the last organization, where I made a huge impact on my profession. But that I didn't find a way for now to continue, to have a continuous way in that. And the other is going back to, so for me, it's one is research and development of tools to increase quality in medicine. And the other is working as a physician and then working with patients. And so I'm looking at both. And one is potentially in another country. So that's part of that journey,
Oh, whoa, yeah. Okay, so you have some opportunities on the table.
Yeah, I have some opportunities. They are in Germany, and was a big thing for me to come here to integrate, and I want to continue that. So there's some confusion in that now.
Got you. Okay, so you are wanting to stay in the US. And do you have any opportunities here?
Right now, it's very challenging. So I don't have concrete opportunities right now. I mean, there are some, but not on the level that I need.
So when you help me know where you're at in the process, have you tapped everybody in your network and asked for, connections and introductions and ideas of where you should go?
Yes, so I have done that now for a couple of months or half a year or so, and there are some things that are developing. So have I asked? So there's more potential. So thank you for the question. There's more. So I'm still increasing using my network. There's more potential.
Okay. So what support do you want today? How can we serve you?
One is I wanted to connect to this group and become part of this group. So for me, I foresee, that this will process going on for a while, and maybe also with some intermediate steps. And so what I look for, what's the support is being not alone. I want to be in a group where I am on a journey with, other allies that are on the way, to developing themselves. So that's my vision, and then also the exchange, so I really like that. And that is something I grow into, doing things in
Perfect.
relationships.
Okay. Fantastic. So Ingolf, one of the things Ingolf's talking about is having a group of allies, having people to connect with. That's one of the fundamental things that this group does. And when we started off, there's a lot of people who needed the support of just knowing that others were in the same position as them. That right there is a emotionally beneficial thing. And of course, information that we can share, that's wonderful too. But just knowing that there's others in the same process as you can be really helpful. So Ingolf, thank you for sharing that. We might circle back to you and find out some more. It sounds like the first step is tapping your network more. So be thinking about that, and we might dig in a little bit more on that here in a minute, but I want to check in with a few people. I see some hands raised. Louis, you've got your hand raised, or do you have a question? You're welcome to come off mute and ask. And Vern, you as well.
George?
Yes, hello, Vern.
Vern here. Yes, I appreciate what you just shared with regard to Ingolf. I too have the same situation, being self-employed, but at the same time, looking to try to do something that nets money, pay bills. Your effort is really great with regard to knowing there's other people in the same boat or the same situation as myself. And so you've accomplished that. I usually stay offline and really appreciate the fact that there's other people ask similar questions that I might. However, I haven't heard one of those recently that I think is really pertinent, and that has to do with the confidence.
Oh, confidence.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Oftentimes, I've got a background that's, I'm told, not me, by the way, but I've got great credentials and excellent experience. I'm told, at least. However, the thing that I seem to be short on is confidence. And I don't want to come off as a braggart or an egotist. I'm talking about myself. I know that oftentimes in interviews, we do those things, but I'm not sure that oftentimes, maybe people oftentimes look at it and say, gee, you're nothing but a braggart.
Do people tell you that you're a braggart?
Yeah, I've been told that.
And who's told you that?
Well, HR people after the refusal.
Okay, so you got feedback after not being accepted, not being offered the job.
Yeah.
And HR told you, they said that you're a braggart.
Yeah, I would love the job, by the way.
Wow. Wait, Vern, this is amazing. I have not heard of HR being that direct.
They are new to not. I won't even share where it was because of the confidence that was shared to me. However, I know that oftentimes HR is reluctant to share those things. I really appreciate that they did, because very often, legal or whatever, they can't do so.
Okay, well, that's great. I know that's so often people don't get feedback. So I hear that you are so grateful for getting it.
Yeah, truly.
So you're wanting to not come off as much of a braggart?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have I shared before my resume? If it's
You have.
corporate, okay, I try to focus on things that are hard skills that rather than soft skills. And these are acknowledged by other persons. And they're oftentimes, well, statistically, I've accomplished this or that percentage wise, or this numbers.
Got it. So
then
Vern,
not just-
can we dig into some coaching here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. There's two things that are underneath every question that an interview is asking. The first one is, does this person get stuff done? The second thing, and by the way, the interviewer might not be conscious of these two things. The second one is this person somebody who I want to work with? Now, of those two things, what do you think in the interviews that you've been doing is the one that hasn't been getting checked?
I think it's number one.
Okay. That hasn't been getting checked.
I've been told this is again, I'm told that I would be a good person to work with. I'm a fun guy, I guess. I've been told to work with.
But you also said you were a braggart, and that was the reason you didn't get the job.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I'm mixed messages, if you will.
So what my hunch is that you have the experience, you're a very bright guy, but that they're concerned about you meshing with the team. Does that seem accurate?
Yeah. I guess I've had some people who previously were geeks, had the knowledge, but they were really awful to deal with.
So are you saying that your concern is that people would see you as awful to deal with?
I think so.
Okay. So learning those soft skills, which more and more people are talking about, is really important. Learning those soft skills is doable. And we might want to dig in more into that offline, but I'm happy to go into it a little bit here if you're game.
I'm glad. I'm open to that.
Okay. So one of the things that I notice when we're talking is how quickly you'll jump in to start telling me how you're good at something or how people have backed you up. And my experience when you're doing that, Vern, is I feel a little hurt and a little scared and even a little angry.
Oh.
And it comes from it's like I don't think we're quite connecting, or you're trying to prove yourself when we're not quite there in the conversation.
Yeah.
How do you feel when I tell you that?
That's interesting. Different. I didn't realize. I've been told that oftentimes you wait a matter of maybe a count of 5 or 10 preceding your answer. So in many ways, you're not jumping on people, but you want to be showing that you're passionate. An overused word. Enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm going to want you to do when you're interviewing, and actually more than just when you're interviewing, your assignment this week, something to practice in all of your interactions, is to, I think we want to have you start noticing and naming your feelings. And I'm not going to have all of the time to go into this. And actually, Jane, if you can find the emotional intelligence video and post that here, I would greatly appreciate that. Because Vern, I'm going to want you to watch that. And so what I want you to do, emotions, and so context for everybody, emotions are how we relate. It's a universal language. And so when I'm out of touch with my own emotions, I'm not going to be connecting with other people emotionally. And so it is a skill to learn. And we start with the most basic feelings of fear, hurt, anger, sadness, and joy. And we start recognizing those in ourselves. I'll give a quick story so that you can relate, Vern and others. A woman came in for coaching. She hated speaking events. And what we got into with her was that when she was presenting in the C-suite, she felt a lot of fear. Now, she used that fear to prepare. So she was going in there knowing what she needed to say, but not necessarily how she was going to deliver. And so she caught herself when the VP had a furrowed brow, and she said, oh my goodness, internally, she's like, I before would have now taken that as my cue that I needed to perform. And I needed to start saying what a great product this was. And instead, she recognized that her own anxiety, and she was like, I don't actually know what he's anxious about. So instead of going into performance mode, she said, sir, do you have any concerns? And right there, he says, why, yes, I do. And he starts sharing his concerns. And of course, it's about the project. And she's able to then start answering his questions and tying that to how the product that they're selling would serve them. And pretty soon, she's just facilitating a conversation around the product and around the potential of that, rather than trying to sell it. So Vern, my hunch is that when you're going into interviews and talking, is that you're trying to sell yourself. And you have credentials, you're a bright guy, you can do this stuff, but that you're not doing it in rapport with people. And learning how to identify your feelings moment to moment is step number one. There's going to be some more steps after this, but step number one in really starting to get where you're at so that you can start to relate to other people. So we start with emotional intelligence. That's me. And then the social intelligence is how I interact with the people around me. But I need to first begin with the primary: fear, hurt, anger, sadness, joy. Okay.
Interesting. Yes.
You game to take that on, to be noticing those 5 feelings in whether you're setting a timer for yourself, or I don't know how you'll do it, but to really be aware of your core emotions this week.
I really will.
Okay.
Somebody gave me a book, by the way, that's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradbury.
Yep.
It's probably one of the most excellent things.
It's a great book, but what we're focused on is having you actually applying what's in. You can read books forever, but to make the transition to applying that moment by moment in your relationships is where we're going to focus. Okay, Vern?
Yeah. Thank you.
Check that out. And I look forward to hearing what you discover in paying attention to your feelings this week.
Terrific. Incidentally, George, FYI, I'm a really introverted person. However, the salesperson pops out of me, I guess, to indicate to people that I do have the credentials and I do have the experience associated with different things. And so I do, unfortunately, jump. It shouldn't be done that way.
Well, that you're noticing it and working on it is wonderful. So thank you. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for your vulnerability. That serves a lot of people. A lot of people listening in can relate. And that's another aspect of this career lab, is that as people are sharing, your job when you're listening is to see how that applies to you. You might not even be in the same position, have the same kind of job. That doesn't matter. We all can be learning how to be more in touch and how to build more rapport with people. So every lesson here, there's something for you in it. So always be applying it to yourself. So Vern, thank you for that. And thanks for setting people up to learn vicariously.
Thank you, George. I appreciate your help.
You bet. And I look forward to hearing more about it. Now, I do want to get Louie in, and Eric, I want to make sure we hear from you.
Yeah, I can come off mute. Can you hear me okay?
Fantastic.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so uh, not too much to update on. Not a snafu, but just something that kind of, as I was reviewing what the interviews they were telling me about that would be upcoming, um, our corporate headquarters relocated to another office location in the
Mhm.
Chicagoland area, and they were telling me that I was going to have an on-site interview, which I didn't have a problem with. But then I realized they'd already moved out of their old office, so I wasn't sure how that was going to work. And then it turns out it was just a miscommunication snafu. Uh, so that's really the only update I have.
Okay.
Just because I'll probably, I imagine they'll probably send me that schedule next week because I think it was that second week of April when I believe they were saying that everyone will be back from vacation. So I imagine even though they're virtual, I imagine I'll get something next week that says, okay, you have these interviews, and so on and so on. But otherwise, just kind of waiting for that at this point with that role, and we'll see how that shakes out.
Got it. Okay. Well, Eric, is there any preparation that you need to do beforehand?
I'm not sure, just because I'm not sure who the interviewees are going to be. I mean, I know one will be, of course, the HR partner. One is going to be the hiring manager. Now, hypothetically, so when I interviewed with this role, back when it was one company, they had me also interview at that time, my boss's boss, who was the director of supply chain. Now, in this case, my boss's boss would be the CEO of the company. I don't know if they'll do that, but that would obviously add an extra wrinkle to the interviews if I were to have that. I guess maybe the only thing I'll probably need to think about, keep in mind, is communicating at a kind of an executive level, I guess. I'm not sure if there's a right way to describe what I'm trying to get at, but it's different when you're communicating to, your C-suite level, your VPs versus say your manager or managers of maybe another group that you work with, or like people on the same level. So if you get what I'm like trying to get at, I'm not saying it very eloquently, but
What's different?
I think maybe it's just, instead of thinking at the business at a granular level, it'd be more high level, kind of on a revenue, margin and profit loss, kind of more financial sales aspects. That's technically the department that this role falls under. Even though I see it more as kind of a corporate strategy, but I guess maybe it's not too fundamentally different. It's just maybe different terminology, or even a different terminology, but just kind of an extra, I guess, presence to keep in mind, maybe. But I could be going about it the wrong way.
No,
So.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up. This is something that I think a lot of people can relate to. And I want to get a little more information. Have you done our personality assessment?
I've done a personality assessment. I was a INTG,
Okay.
so I don't know if that's what you're thinking of. It's that kind of personality assessment, but I've not done the one that you guys have.
Let's have you do this one. Part of why I like the one that we use is it's very streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more about usability than it's not as much of an analytical one. But
yeah, I got you.
So let's have. Oh yeah, Louis. Okay, cool. I'm pretty sure that you're what we would call an analyzer.
Yeah.
And C-suite tends to be regulators and energizers.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the downfalls that can happen in these communications is I think what I was hearing you say is that you're concerned about over communicating.
Yeah, I think I don't want to, and I've interacted with a C-suite person once, which was an interesting interaction on of itself. But I think I'll just have to make sure I keep, and so I have kind of the experience of being more simplified, more high level. It's something I continually work on, but I think I'll just have to make sure to keep that in mind extra, given the level, the role that I'm interviewing for. That you said, yeah, it's they're not going to be worried about the specific details and the exact numbers of whatever.
Yep.
It's going to be more high level. How did I interact with this person? How did I handle this team? How did I handle this interaction? That kind of more people skills kind of thing.
Yep. Okay. So what you're going to want to do is make sure that, and you can ask them too, to make sure that you're on the same page with them. But what are the results that they want? What are the results that they care about? And you typically don't want to ever give more than 3 points.
Yeah.
And so if they have more questions, this is where an analyzer, you're great, because you're going to care about things and be paying attention to details that they would never do.
Right.
But you don't need to lead with that. And this is where, Vern, you might relate to some of this too. And it sounds like Louis, is that you don't have to prove yourself.
Yeah.
They just really don't care. All that they're looking at is what are the results. So get yourself prepared to be able to share bottom line. And if they have follow-up questions, I know you'll do great. And so you don't have to, you can focus your anxiety on making sure you're in sync with them, as opposed to focusing your anxiety on having all the reasons why.
Yeah, and I think this is a question I'm going to ask in the interviews, because we are kind of the owner or partial owner of the company is an investment firm of sorts. So I don't know what my interactions would be with them, just because a big part of this role would be doing basic kind of high level strategic projects that would be, expanding business to this product or changing this sales strategy for this product, that kind of thing. So I would imagine that we would have to work with our investment firm owners and get signups and all that. I don't know what the scale would that be, but that's something that I'm planning on asking about when that time does come. So that'll be, but yeah, no, I definitely think, and that's what I try to practice too, is give the bottom line and then shut my mouth. And then they'll ask questions if they want to. I'll have those details, but I'm not going to give them any more than the bottom line. They can ask for more if they want it.
Okay. That's great. I'm looking forward to hearing how this goes. This is exciting. So I want to give a little bit of background for everybody listening in. Eric has been working his way up in the company. And one of the points that I think a lot of people would relate to is not too long ago when you were interested in this position was to keep reminding people that you're interested in the position.
Right.
And so you're moving the ball forward. For everybody listening in, a lot of times in a company, they don't have the best development strategies or the best hiring process. And so if it's something that you're really interested in, it's often helpful for you to, put it back at the top of their inbox when you've reached down, just make it clear that that's what you're doing. And so, you can help them help themselves by making sure that people know you're really interested in the next step.
Great idea.
Thank you, Vern. Yeah. And Eric, so this is exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing more about what comes of this. Some phrases you might keep in your pocket is you can, as you're talking to people, you might say, hey, I'm a numbers guy, or I'm detail oriented. So if I ever am giving you too much information, stop me.
Yeah.
And you can, and if you're talking and you get that sense that you don't know if they're listening, you can say, hey, am I talking too much here? and
hmm
just keep checking in with them, staying on the same page, and that'll keep you in rapport.
Good idea.
Yep. So, but yep, I'll see if I have anything new next week. But I think at this point, it's just waiting for the interview schedule, and I'm not sure. I know probably, like I said, I'll probably have another interview with a couple other folks on his team. There's one guy who does more external analysis, so I don't know if I'll meet with him, of course, virtually, but I'll be curious to see what that interview schedule looks like.
Cool. Eric, nice going. Exciting stuff.
Nice
Yeah,
going, Eric.
thank you. Thank you.
You bet. So now, Louis, we've got you in
Hi,
the
George.
Hey, good to talk to you again.
Good to talk to you too.
So,
My
yeah,
question is that, yeah, I'm in
I
the
was
midst
just
of
reading
starting
it,
my
but it'd be
career.
great. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna, so I'm just about to start my career as a graduate student. So I've been doing some job search from probably mid of December and haven't really been hearing back a lot from the company and only have one phone interview so far. So now I'm starting to wonder where like my recruiting strategy has been off. There are three places that I could think of potentially. One is my like my ability. So in terms of resume, cover letter, and my experience are not really matching the job description that I'm trying to apply. Or secondly, there might be like the jobs out there that I'm applying. Um, I know that some of the jobs might be they're probably like they're listing, but they already have like internal candidates that they're in mind. So they're not really considering like outside candidates. And lastly, I was just thinking that because the way that I apply to these positions, I'm just like sending out applications. Is there another way, like maybe getting referral and like having leads into more like indirect way of getting interview and getting like people to know who I am. So I'm just starting to think of those are three of the ways that I was not sure about and trying to ask your
Louis,
opinion.
those three things sound like you should do them. And curious if you have started or if you're just looking for, affirmation that those would be good moves to make.
I have started it. I have been doing coffee chat, networking with people. And oftentimes I'm not sure that like I don't get the results. Like I'm finding it difficult to navigate like coffee chat in general.
And coffee chat, meaning like getting coffee with somebody?
Yeah, like networking, approaching people on LinkedIn.
Okay. And so you're doing it just online, or are you also doing it in person?
I'm doing it just online.
Okay. So that it will be a challenge. Do you have anybody that you already know that you can start with?
In terms of like professional relationship or a personal relationship.
Both.
I have a friend that might lead to some potential opportunities. I guess I also have been putting myself out there and telling everyone that I've been trying to find like opportunities in specific field.
And what kind of response are you getting?
The people are supportive. Um, they are They say that they will look out for opportunities. However, I'm not sure if I'm not being very specific in terms of like what kind of roles and job that I'm interested in doing. So I'm starting to wonder whether it is because of that, like people are not sure how they can help.
Okay. How could you be more specific?
Probably be a little bit, I'm not sure. That's
Well,
my,
how about you give it a try with us here and tell us what it is and see, and we can give you feedback.
sure. I am looking for opportunities that in like um, that in operational sustainability, specifically looking at supply chain efficiency and carbon accounting. I have a background in environment and sustainability, so I'm looking for opportunities that either like in a company that has specific operations or in a consulting environment.
Okay. And what do people usually, how do people usually respond to that?
Pretty positive.
And say, okay, okay, great. I
Yeah.
know of some people.
They just said, okay, great. They didn't say, I know some people.
Okay. So then you want to find out if they have any leads in their mind. That's probably not the correct terminology to use here, but if they have any opportunities in mind. And another thing to do is to follow up with them later and let them know, even in that conversation, of great, thanks for keeping me in mind. I'm going to circle back with you in a week or two, because I know sometimes it takes a little while to think of opportunities. So I'll check back in with you in a little bit. And that way you're taking the pressure off of them. Sometimes people will ask me and I just don't, I got a bunch going on in my head and I might not think of the exact opportunity at that moment.
Right. Great. Thank
Have
you.
you circled back with people?
I haven't. I guess I just was not sure what to like you said, I was kind of afraid that putting pressure on people and making them feel like I'm being too aggressive.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we as human beings just kind of have a bunch of limiting beliefs. And people are pretty much more giving than we think they are. Most people want to help people. I'm forgetting the book that has a lot of research on that. It might be Adam Grant that talks about that, but anyway, there's, and so it's a real challenge. I mean, I think I'm going to estimate that 60 to 80% of us are what we would call givers. And we give a lot, and some of us expect more in return. And some of us, don't expect enough in return. But my sense is that you're a giver. You're probably kind of a cooperator analyzer type. And so you're more risk averse. If you can, inch out of your comfort zone a little bit and just take the lead on that and say, I'm going to circle back with you, you're taking the anxiety off of them. And they're happy to help. And they're really happy to help, especially when they don't have to say, oh, shoot, now I have to call her, or I have to, if you're kind of taking charge of it as much as you can, I think you'll get some more results. Does that
like taking ownership in terms of maintaining relationship with my networks and taking initiative, reaching out to them, and then setting up following up plans and be like, I'm going to talk to you in like 2 weeks about any updates.
Yep. Yep. So think of it like they want the job of helping you, but they don't necessarily want it to be a challenging job, or they want it to be as easy of a job as possible. And there's so much information and so many things happening, it's really easy to get distracted. And so if you can let them know that you're going to make the job that they have of helping you, you're going to make that job very easy for them and almost mindless. That's going to relieve their anxiety.
Yeah, so like almost like my job is to figure out how they can help me so I can tell them how to do it. Got it. Thank you, George.
You bet. And so you can say, you know, I'm going to circle back with you. I've found oftentimes 2 weeks is a good time frame. Does that work, or would you like me to circle back sooner? You know, something like that. So it's like you're making it clear that they don't have to take responsibility for you, other than them just keeping you in mind, thinking of some opportunities. And you might find people say, oh, great, thank you. And you might circle back, you might give them a call and they might say, hey, sorry, busy, send you a text. I haven't found anything yet, but thank you for the reminder, you know? And that way, as you're doing this, Louis, you can start to get more momentum and velocity. You know, the conversations don't have to take a long time. Can be some quick text messages, especially the more that you are taking initiative and making it clear to other people that, you know, you're holding the responsibility on this, and that they're just there is your support team.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. This is fantastic, by the way. I'm so glad you're joining in and checking this out. I think a lot of people can probably relate to this. You don't have to have long, in-depth calls with people, especially as you let them know the game and let them know that, you know, what your expectations are. Now, another side of this, Louis, is, and everybody, is if you get somebody who's a cooperator, analyzer type on the phone, and you share what you're looking for, you know, hey, I'll circle back in a little bit, and hey, I've got a few more minutes, would love to hear from you. What are you working on? And then you just shut up and listen. And if somebody wants to talk and you invite them to share about what's going on in their life, what happens is that that's a positive experience for them, because it feels good to talk. It feels, you know, a lot of us are verbal thinkers, so to speak. So I process things and I think things through by talking out loud. And so if you can offer that service to somebody, just to listen in and catch up on how their life is doing, how their kids are doing, how their job search is doing, how, you know, their project's doing, and just listen for a little bit, that will actually help them remember you more. It'll help deepen that connection with you. And it's a wonderful gift you can offer of just listening. And it kind of, even I find when I do this, if I just made an ask and now I'm listening to somebody, it often triggers my brain to start thinking creatively.
This is super helpful, because the way that I've been setting up Zoom call interview, informational interview with people, it felt too, sometimes I worried I jumped too quickly into the topic and showing them my intentions. So too much of it doesn't feel like I'm making personal connection with them, and having because people know that I'm in the midst of my recruiting. They know that I wanted to connect with them, but I guess my another job is to make the conversation fun and delightful for them as well.
Yes. And then this is a thing that I've been doing more and more of as I'm getting more comfortable, is just being upfront about what I want, but also not needing to spend a lot of time on it. And then I like connecting. I'm a cooperator. So I could be on the phone with somebody for a half an hour and never get to my agenda and never get to like the point of why I called. And I would get some enjoyment out of that, but I would also be like, oh shoot, like, oh, I do actually need to move my project forward. But if I could just say, hey, I'm calling about this, I want to check in with you. I'm in my job search, as you know, wondering if you have any leads, or, I want to make sure that you keep me in mind. And while we're on the phone, or while we're in this meeting, I'd love to hear from you. What's going on for you? And just kind of owning it that way has worked much better for me than thinking that I always have to just give. And then maybe at the end of the call say, oh, and by the way, keep me in mind. Because that didn't feel good when I would do it that way.
Yeah. And sometimes when I notice when I try to even hide my intentions, it doesn't work that way, because I think people know intentions. So rather just be more honest and upfront and tell them at the very beginning of conversation, this is what I'm looking for. And then we don't have to spend a lot of time, because I'm also genuinely interested in what you're doing. That will help me to get to know more about the position in the company as well.
Beautiful.
Thank you, George.
You're welcome, Louis. This is great. And I hope to hear from you next week, and to hear how this search is going and hear what leads you're starting to get in.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Well, beautiful. So we are coming up on the end of our time here today. This is Career Lab Wednesday. Every Wednesday, noon to 1, we're with you. My job is to support you in your career, to have you reaching your potential. And so any questions are on the table. I just see somebody else joining in.
No.
Yeah.
Right here. You while ago, you said about a third person. It's one of your staff persons put in a information pertaining to the issue that I had raised.
Oh, yes.
Where's that found?
Where's what?
Where is that found? You were saying about.
Oh, in the chat. Do you see the chat there in you know what? We'll also post it in the chat on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And send it to you.
Wonderful idea. Thank you.
And when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you'll get updates on the new videos and things that are launching there.
I thank you.
You bet. You bet. And we are wrapping up now. Welcome, Benjamin. I'm just seeing that you're on here. We are going from noon to 1 Central. So look forward to having you next week. In the last couple minutes, is there anything that you want to share and just give us an update on what you're looking for?
Okay. Looking for mainly insurance-based. My favorite job I had was with selling Medicare.
Okay.
Well, when people would just pretty much call and wonder, okay, I was told I needed to sign up for Medicare. Now what do I do? And having to or being able to explain everything to them and sort of teach them about it.
Okay.
Which is the same thing I did with insurance. Like, okay, now I have this insurance. What does it do?
Gotcha. Well, cool. Well, Benjamin, so you can take a look at the video. We'll have a posting of it on YouTube. Okay. And so you can catch up there, and then looking forward to connecting with you next week.
Okay. I'm sorry I'm late. I guess got the message a little bit too late.
Understandable.
Or that I got my time zones mixed up, one of the two. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining in. All right, everybody. Thank you. This is Career Lab Wednesday. Thanks for joining in and using your career to develop yourself to reach your potential. We look forward to next week. And again, you can always book 15 minutes with me. I'll serve you as much as I can in that time, and we'll set up more if we need to. And We've got our recordings posted here in the chat, and we'll make sure those get into the comment section as well. All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you next week.
Take care.